So please applaud both Lauren and the trailer for The Empire Strikes Back.
Hi. My name is Lauren, and I was once a fake geek girl. Up until high school, thank you. Up until high school, I did not give a fuck about Star Wars. I'd watched the original movies, okay, or as we called them in those days, the movies. My dad made sure of that. But they were too dry for me when I was a kid, too slow. I liked the droids and the unattainable symmetry of the lead actor's facial features, sure. But from a glance, the only girl character who wasn't dead, an Ewok, or a space stripper, she only seemed to be there to be fallen in love with. And other authors, like Bradbury and Tolkien and Roald Dahl, they seemed to have already told the same stories, but better. I didn't get it. But Jacob Bailey, whew, he got it. Jacob, he had hair worthy of Fox Mulder. But a smirk worthy of David Duchovny. And it was 1997, so that really mattered. Jacob was part of this pack of kids from the gifted program who I might have been friends with for years if my dad hadn't forbade me from even trying to test into the program. He said, and I quote, "You're already weird enough." But I met them in 10th grade when my school cut the gifted program and integrated its students into my classes. And they were so haughty. They had been in marching band together since the 6th grade. They volunteered at Ren Fair and built their own computers. I needed them to like me. And they liked Star Wars. Jacob loved Star Wars. So I loved Star Wars. And in my defense, I didn't have to fake my Star Wars nerdery for long. Fandom is contagious, like really fun chlamydia. So it wasn't long before I saw the magic George Lucas had conjured. We proto-performers and filmmakers found an idol in Lucas, a scrappy film lover, bootstrap puller, practical effects championer. He and his co-creators set up these balances of despair and triumph, of peace and suffering, within each character as much as within the plot. And upon deeper study, I realized that Leia was way more badass than Luke or Han. I loved Star Wars. My new friends and I had a good couple of years. Halcyon years, bright as any physically improbable saber made of finite lasers. And then the trailer for Phantom Menace came out, and we went supernova. This was before the internet was so much of a thing, okay? Like, I spent a lot of time on AOL Instant Messenger and had accidentally read my first erotica while digging through GeoCities for fan translations of Sailor Moon. But movie buzz happened through magazines and late-night variety shows, okay? We clipped interviews to share with each other from newspaper. We videotaped the trailers from TV and watched them obsessively. The premiere was set for the night before our AP English test at midnight. I'm not even going to play like my dad made me stay home. I mean, he would have, okay, but tests were really important to me. In the future words of a sometime Jedi, I went the fuck to sleep. But Jacob and his two best friends went and staged a choreographed plastic lightsaber fight before the show. Jacob dressed up as Darth Maul, except with really fabulous hair, because fuck if he was going to shave all that or even hide it under a bald cap. They traipsed in the following morning, droids shuffling through the sleepless desert of our high school halls. Jacob was waiting in the line forming outside our English classroom. I bounded up to him, my whole being a time capsule mirror of the delight he'd embodied the previous afternoon when he left the journalism lab. Late for most any other student, but for the newspaper crowd around deadline, he was really early getting out. He'd wanted to get in line to get the best seats at the theater. His head was bowed, and I could see he still had grease paint around his hairline. "How was it?" I said. He looked up at me, and I saw that the makeup had also settled into the still embryonic creases under his eyes. Those slight marks of encroaching adulthood highlighted in Sith red. It was horrible. And of course it was. We've covered this, okay? George Lucas had gone to the dark side of computer-generated effects and Hollywood power. Guys, if he liked the performances from different takes, he would digitally composite them, like an actor's facial expressions from one shot and their gestures from another. And he was serving as his own co-pilot, a writer and director, with none of the Chewies who made Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi the clearly superior films of the original trilogy. Thank you. And look, I know that arguing the best and worst of Star Wars movies is futile, but I will say that Empire Strikes Back is my favorite because it's dark. At the end of the film, our heroes face uncertainty and we watch them quiver, human. They're in stages of defeat, which I know was partially a marketing ploy to get people to go see Return of the Jedi, but the movie isn't all Wookiee jokes and pod races and rollicking space adventures, occasionally with racist caricatures. And we love it for that. But in parallel, I can't be mad at what George Lucas did in the prequels. In a way, they're just as important as Empire. They taught us that sometimes our heroes fail. Thank you.
Scene missing.